Hey everybody, welcome to Edgewood Park, nestled in the hills near Woodside, California, and near Highway 280. Um, Coming in the back way, you get to see a nice stand of chaparral, very hot exposed plant community, all kinds of little plants. This is called chamise. It's got these tiny little leaves. This is one of the strategies for maintaining moisture. Have the leaves as small as possible, have them waxy, have them thick, have them shiny, all kinds of different techniques desert and desert-like plants have. A very scary one right next to it. Hey, what's that? That looks nice. That's actually poison oak in a very innocent form. Just a little bush. Usually it grows kind of viney all over plants and stuff, but this is a very nice bush of poison oak, and this is nasty, nasty, nasty. You can see it's got little flowers on it, getting ready to reproduce like any other plant like this does. But you see how shiny this one is. That's some of the oils. And this is a very, very nasty plant. It was renamed about 20 years ago, about 30 years ago, to Toxicodendron diversilobum. And you can see it's got trifoliate leaves, little lobed leaves. Sometimes you can see this growing like a vine, like I said, and then it'll go next to blackberry, which also has, in some instances, or the appearance of trifoliate leaves, or maybe a little more. And people go, oh, look, it's a blackberry. But no, it doesn't have any spines on the stems. It doesn't have any kind of toothed leaves. They're lobed leaves. And they can be extremely lobed, or they can be mildly lobed. Like these young ones are pretty mildly lobed. The big ones get really, really low, but you can see it's turning, it has some reddish color. The new growth starts out a little bit red, turns into green, and then as it goes through its life, it'll actually go from a bright green to a reddish color, just like how plants change fall color as the leaves, mature and get ready to die. But anytime during this stage, any of these stages, you can get the goddamn oil on you, and it has the worst contact dermatitis in the world. It's similar to there's poison ivy in the east. This is poison oak. There's also this is related to oh damn. Now I'm trying to blank. It's related to cashews. It's the family Anacardiaceae, and the cashew. I think the cashew plant in one form or another can actually cause irritation. Not as bad as this one. And there are plenty of other plants that have contact dermatitis issues with people. Some types of yucca trees can cause contact dermatitis. These yucca, either some of these desert plants that look like yucca. And so I can't remember if Joshua tree causes it or not, but certain other ones that are ornamentals can cause irritation. When you do gardening, you get it on your skin, all of a sudden you have this horrible rash, itches, and it itches so much, just like this one does, that you will rip your skin open to make it feel better. You're bleeding like crazy, but your pain threshold is way below, or I should say way above, your itch threshold. And so you scratch, you're bleeding all over the place, it doesn't even hurt, and it still itches. You just want to scratch your skin off. It's a really terrible thing. My dad used to bring it home from the golf course, or I would get it hiking as a kid. But I wanted to show it like this because, hey, it looks like an innocent little bush. And it's mostly bright green. It doesn't have a lot of the red and yellow leaves that you get in the more mature plants. Even the sticks can have enough oil to give an irritation. And people have actually burned the sticks when they become, they're deciduous. They drop their leaves and they look like sticks for part of the year. People have actually burned sticks, or even used them as a stick for toasting marshmallows in the camp. And when you burn the wood, you inhale the oils, and the oils get in your lungs, and you get a horrible, version of dermatitis in your lungs. It's not dermis, so it's I don't think it's actually called dermatitis, but it's another irritation in your lungs. And you could swell up, you could have trouble breathing, your mucous membranes get irritated. So, and again, it's all based on your individual reaction. Some people don't get allergic to it. My dad had no allergic reaction to it most of his life, and eventually through constant exposure, he started developing the rash as well. But it's bad. I had my face swollen shut once from it. I had, just all over my face, and you get it in your crotch, forget about it, because you're always sweating. You're always, rubbing, your pants are always rubbing and stuff like that. So it's just constantly itching and just awful stuff. But there are nice plants around here. This is a very small elderberry. It's coming back. This is scrub oak. It's a oak tree that grows in the chaparral area. And if I remember correctly, chaparral is a Spanish word describing this tree or bush, scrub oak. It's a predominant tree or bush, depending on how it's growing, in the chaparral. But you get chamise, you get scrub oak, you get, this is coyote bush. I've shown that before on many walks. This is a coastal live oak, so it's much bigger leaves and more spiky, and scrub oak has very small leaves for the most part. So what else we got here? This is off to the side, but it's still here. This is coffee berry. Actually has fruits that look like the coffee cherries that you get coffee beans from. No relation, but just looks like it. But you can see the overall layout. Dry, scrubby, hence the name scrub oak. There's another plant community close to the coast called coastal sage scrub. Has a lot of sagey plants, very aromatic. Again, adapted to desert, dry-like conditions. Scrub oak is also there, so is coyote bush, lots of other things. But there are some special ones only in those zones, but you won't see them here. Here goes a nice amalgam of poison oak, scrub oak, poison oak again growing through stuff. Here's a coffee berry with poison oak growing through it. Like remember, I said it kind of grows bushy or viney sometimes. And so here's poison oak pushing through the scrub oak over there. So yeah, if you go prancing about through these woods or these scrub areas, you could find an unhappy surprise. Just grazing poison oak is enough to get it. Or on a really hot day, supposedly, the oils slightly atomize into the air, and as the wind blows, it can blow it onto your face. You don't even have to touch it. On a really hot day, it's been reported to be that nasty. Which probably explains a few times when I got it, when I'm pretty sure I didn't touch anything, because I'm paranoid about the plant. As close as I got with the camera, notice I didn't touch anything, because it's nasty. You got some white yarrow over there, little white flower heads. You've seen that on other walks. Another bush of poison oak. It's really doing well here. Poison oak. Here's a wavy leaf soap plant, also called soap root. And it has these saponins, the saponin glycosides, these toxins that it's a group of toxins that are found in lots of plants, anywhere from the tropics to temperate zones and stuff. And this one in particular, the Native Americans who lived here discovered that when you pulled up the root, and it was very alkaline, very bitter, right? That usually means it's got some pretty active compounds in it. Sometimes it's medicinal, sometimes it's really toxic. And so they discovered early on, if you basically chop up a piece of the soap root, throw it in the local pond or a stream with a pool area where the fish collect, the fish would get stupefied by the toxin. It's not killing them, it just kind of stuns them, easy to pick them up. Because if you gave them enough to kill them, then they would be in their tissue, then you would eat the toxin, and that's not good for you. So they would just get enough in their gills to stun them, and they would gather the fish with that much effort. Don't need the fish basket or hook and line, all that kind of stuff. Pretty clever. What else we got here? I see some sticky monkey flower over there. We'll see more of that. I've shown you that before on other walks. It's pretty hot out here, but there's always a little breeze out here, which makes it nice. So, and there's an oak woodland area I walk through at some point, which is very shady and nice and cool. All the orange dots up on the hill here, these are California poppies, the state flower of California, the Schultzia californica. This is one of my favorites. This is a little plant called, is that right? Oh, sorry, that's a different one. Sorry, false alarm. I'm looking for another one. These little plants that have these little curly Q ends on them, little tendrils, and these kind of leaves that look like feather patterns. These are, there's pea and vetch, the two related legumes out here that are also introduced from Europe, along with lots of stuff. And the pea is more delicate, smaller usually. The vetch is usually a little bit more chunky. The flowers look a little bit different colors and stuff, but they have the same growth pattern. Here's the little flower on the thing, and if you know legumes, they often have this banner wing keel flower arrangement, just like on a lupin. And so there's a little flower there, and you see little tendrils come out, and they come up, and the tendrils wrap around something and end up growing around stuff. And speaking of tendrils, there's another plant, a small version of it called manroot or wild cucumber, and it also grows like a vine, has tendrils on the ends that wrap around. Look how it's kind of wrapped around that stem right there. Pretty cool. And it climbs. So here it is on coffeeberry. I'm done coffeeberries here again. Got a lot of action on it. Manroot called that because, again, Native Americans dug it up, and the root ball is kind of almost like a corm or like a storage system in the base of the plant underground. It could be the size of a male's torso. Huge. There's more scrub oak. It's all kind of waxy, very firm, waxy leaves, curled up. So all these little things. So the spines are to keep predators from taking too much material, or mostly, or almost all. There's some of the leftover acorn caps on it. They curl up, so underneath the leaf is a little microclimate, not directly in the sun, waxy, very waterproof, stuff like that. So a lot of stomata are underneath the leaves, and they can continue to have gas exchange throughout the day. Even when it's hot, you open your stomata. Excuse me, I gotta sneeze. Excuse me, a little dusty out here. The stomata, look like a mouth, kind of. It's like two lips, and they swell to open and close to allow gas exchange. It's depending on what part of the cycle you're on, whether it's photosynthesis or respiration. You're either respiring CO2 or you're respiring oxygen. But of course, the plants are pretty much doing both all day. But at night, it's only doing respiration. There's no light for photosynthesis. But as the gas exchange comes through, the little stomata, I should say. Stoma is the individual structure. And having that protected microclimate underneath means it can have gas exchange and not lose too much water through transpiration. Because the water cycle, part of the water cycle is plant roots bring in water from, if it's in water, the water, if it's in wet soil or soil in general, it brings it in from the soil, up through the roots, into the body of the plant, up through the xylem, spreads into the tissues of the plant, and then continues on up, basically the plant circulatory system. There's another one too called phloem for the carbohydrates, but the xylem basically is the plumbing for the plant, and it goes up generally to the leaves, and as the stomata open up, the gas exchange also allows water to leave the plant and to enter the atmosphere as a gas, basically, and it evaporates out and goes up into the sky, and eventually goes into the clouds like every other bit of water on the planet that goes up to the clouds. So it's a big part of the water cycle, and they need to continue respiring throughout the day while they're photosynthesizing. So those stomata have to open up, and you don't want it to be exposed to heat. You're going to lose more water that way. These are yerba santa. They have a nice sweet smell. They don't taste great, but supposedly Native Americans used to chew them as a refreshing, like a spearmint gum type thing. You chew the leaves. I tried it once. It was terrible, but it was a little bit refreshing. So I guess if you're desperate and you didn't invent, toothpaste yet, then I guess that's something. No toothpaste, no mouthwash back then. This is what they had. So it has some medicinal properties as well, I think, but I forgot what they are. And all this black stuff growing in there. It has a certain amount of, I think the aphids bring out some of the sugary sap, and also some of the normal exudates of the leaves attract fungi. So there's this black fungus growing on the lower leaves on a lot of these. So that's normal. See it all the time. And then we got more coyote bush and lichens. All kinds of lichens growing all over here. Lichens are great indicators of air quality. They're very sensitive. So it's a fungus housing a algae, or singular alga. And it's a type of symbiosis. In this case, mutualism, because the algae grows the food through photosynthesis for the fungus. The fungus provides the home. They both win. More poison oak, look at that. Anyway, so that's mutualism. Just like in your gut. You have E. coli in your gut. Now, they're not great for, your colon is essentially, in quotes, outside your body, right? Because it's a sealed system unless you have an injury. But the E. coli actually, along with other things in your gut, actually benefit you by producing vitamins. So they're there doing their thing, breaking stuff down like they do, but they also can help give you goodies. And here's my favorite view of the entire park. So you've got Oak Woodland on the left. Oak Woodland up on the hill. Chaparral on the left. Nice little coast range on the top there. That's the Santa Cruz Mountains. Chaparral on the right. And then go down into this little mini valley and this beautiful serpentine grassland. I'll get to the serpentine in a second. And then Oak Woodland at the top. And all around this hill, there's a hill system here, and you walk around the hill through the Oak Woodland, but up to the top, back down through and around, and come back out this little fork in the trail here. I'm not going to go down this part of the Oak Woodland, but there's more stuff down here. Sorry, I keep saying Oak Woodland, Chaparral. And a quick shot, I did a shot of the map for the poster frame. This is where it's got a little of a smudge on the glass here, but you can see the shape of the park. It's not huge, but it's bordered by basically Highway 280 and a few major roads. Edgewood Road, that's why it's called Edgewood Park, and another road, Woodside Road, and I think there's one other road on the other side. It's not just one wrapping around, but anyway, that's the park. Saved from being a golf course, late 80s, I think, luckily, because this would have been yet another golf course. And because Crystal Springs Reservoir is just down the hill that way, you're not allowed to have motorboats in there. They don't want boats leaking water. I think you can have canoes in there, limited use canoes and stuff like that, but nothing that could leak nasty chemicals into the water, because it's used for drinking water and other things. So same thing here. You don't want nasty runoff from a golf course with pesticides, herbicides, who knows what else, motor oil from, repairing golf cart vehicles, and well, they're electric, but I mean, they still use lubricants and stuff. So stuff can run off downhill and do horrible things to the water. So by protecting this place, they also protected the drinking water down in the reservoir. So everybody wins. The golf players have plenty of courses to go on. And these are some of the local things. They give you a quick warning. You will see gopher and garter snakes here. and rattlesnakes as well. But they give you a little quick tip if you don't know what they look like and how they move. And the gopher snakes can often they shake their tail in leaves. And to uninitiate, it sounds a little bit like a rattle, and people try to kill it, which is bad because it's not doing anything. It's actually helping keep the rodent population down. So they're important. Even rattlesnakes are important, but you got to be careful. Got to avoid them because they will mess you up. Garter snakes is one of the reasons this place was saved. San Francisco Bay garter snake and I think it's the Bay checker spot butterfly, 2 endangered species in the area that were found here. So that, along with some of the rare plants out here, like the serpentine stuff I'll mention shortly, that is why this place was saved. So it wasn't just people being nice, although that's always good. It always comes down to money, right? Money and power. And in this case, decency won, nature won, and people who come to enjoy natural spaces won. They even have horseback stuff going through here. They don't allow dogs anymore. I think they used to allow dogs, if I remember correctly. But the sign outside now says no dogs. So, again, keeping in line with there goes a scrub jay. Keeping in line with the preserved nature of the place. They want to, protect it as much as possible. Protect the birds, protect lizards, everything. So here we're getting some wildflowers this time of year. So there is a wild onion called allium. Tiny white flowers right there. There is gold fields, the tiny little golden flowers there. They get bigger. There's a bigger one next to that. And next to that, those little purple tassely things called owl's clover. It used to be called orthocarpus. Now it's castanea, because it's more closer related to Indian paintbrush, which you'll see around here. It's a beautiful flower. So yeah, you get a nice little carpet, and you look around, you see the yellow, you see the purple, pink owl's clover, you see the white of you see tidy tips also. There you go. There's a composite flower, like daisy, related to daisies. And right there, you see it's white, it's yellow. It has ray and disc flowers. This typical daisy kind of flower build of the composite family, or Asteraceae. It has ray and disc flowers. So the disc are the things in the middle that form the bulge, and the ray flowers form the basically petals. But it's a composite flower. It's not just one flower with little petals. Each of those petals is a flower. So it's, like I said, it's composite flower. So it's made of multiple flowers, not just one. And the ray flowers are white tipped with some yellow, and the disc flowers are yellow. So they call it tidy tips because there's little white tips on it. I'll see more of that around here. I'm also seeing some Brodea, another one called blue dicks. I don't know where blue dicks came from. It's a great name, but Brodea is the original genus name, and still the common name, I think. Now it's Dicolostema, but I'll find more of those. It's nice little clustered purple pink flowers on a tall stalk. Again, see, I was talking another day about the grassland being safe from intrusions. So here's some wild oats from Europe, slowly learning to adapt to the soil, which is not ideal for them. The serpentine soil, named after the state rock serpentine, the mineral serpentinite, is low in calcium, high in magnesium, kind of the opposite of what a lot of flowers and plants want, unless you adapt to them over time. So for example, here is a shot. There's a piece of serpentinite right there, a kind of gray-green, and it's a little bit fibrous looking when you look up real close. It's related to asbestos. And I'll find, there's a couple big hunks of it on the trail. I'll point out the stuff, but really interesting rock. And I'll point out some more. A long time ago, there were no fences here. They had the trails all worn down, so you know where to walk. But the fences were mainly put up because people were wandering up You can finally see it's almost totally healed, but for years there was this big scar trail going up the hill there, people just making their own trail. And they discourage that, and you can see it's almost pretty overgrown now. You almost can't see it anymore. But for a long time, it was as white or, dirt colored as this trail is. And now you really don't see it, which is good. It's progress. And you have all kinds of other, there's blue-eyed grass. It's actually related to iris right there. See, the leaves look like little iris strap leaves. So blue-eyed grass, but you see it's more purple than blue, and the eye, which is like the center, is yellow. So we're always joking it should be called yellow-eyed iris, but it's called blue-eyed grass. More soap plant here. So the wavy leaf in the soil there. More blue-eyed grass over there. Oh man, I knew this one a long time ago. These little kind of maroon balls, these little purple maroon balls. And I don't remember the name of that one. I gotta do some research now. Forgot. Used to know all these. It's on site. Coming here for years and years and years. So that's a mental note for me to remember what that one is. Another shot of owl's clover here. Very, very pretty little tassely flower structure there. What else? Nice. This is buttercups. I think it's ranunculus is the genus. Buttercups. And if you get the right light, the petals are very shiny. There's a sheen to them like they're wet. Buttercups, very nice. There's another one that's bigger and less shiny called sun cups, but I don't see that one as often. So here's a stand of serpentinite right here, worn out from the trail. And if you look closely, it's got this weird kind of ropey quality to it. And that's showing how it's related to asbestos in a way. The way the fibers grow, the crystallization is different than other minerals. What else we got here? More owl's clover. See, people do bring the dogs here, and there's a dog shit. So they get caught, they get busted. Probably some local that lives here. If you saw when I started the video, housing project behind me. It's real nice, expensive homes here, right by the park. So a lot of people walk their dogs here or do whatever they want and tend to get away with shit. So, and then there's an interesting area here. See the grassland meeting the scrub oak, chaparral area. And, oh, nice. Is that a harrier? Just going down between the bushes. I think it's a northern harrier. I was talking about them at Baylands, but you also see them up here looking for rodents. Beautiful raptor lives around here. Anyway, I was going to show this region. It's a grassland area, and the region next to it, it's called an ecotone. It's where the two regions meet. So grassland and oak woodland, grassland and chaparral, grassland and pine forest, whatever. The region's called an ecotone, and often there's a little border around it, either formed by, some plants create chemicals to discourage other plants from growing around them, so you have a lot of exposed dirt when you would normally expect to be more of a carpeting plant habitat around there. But sometimes you have this thing called allelopathy, where plants will basically discourage other plants from growing with chemicals. Sometimes it's a natural thing because the soil is not that great right there for growing. And it's a natural ecotone created by the chemistry of the soil that's just not great for life, as far as these plants are concerned. But you'll see that. And sometimes you have areas where it's really worn down on the edge of an area, and that's these areas called rodent runs, where rodents go back and forth so often, they form their own little trails like deer do. And thousands of times a year, these rodents going back and forth will have enough erosion to create It's kind of interesting. Nice cluster of black grass again. Going here because the butterflies are here, the wildflowers are here. And this is early in the wildflower season still. We should get some more pretty soon. But there are some good ones, as you'll see right now. Look at this. These are larkspur flowers. Look at this. Very nice. Delphinium. And you'll see there's like a little area in the back, perfect tubular formation that something like a hummingbird would stick its bill into, or a beetle would crawl into to get some nectar. And so that's the spur, larkspur. Very nice. Very deep purple. Oh, there you go. That's a turkey vulture. Nice. You see the red naked head because they're carrion eaters, and you don't want dead tissue living on your head after you've eaten a carcass and causing bacterial buildup where you stink more than you normally do, and where you can get a rash or infection or something like that from bacteria. So having the naked red head, it bakes in the sun and keeps that whatever detritus and blood and tissue and stuff they get on their heads from sticking in and carrion to go away. And there are some people doing science projects up here all the time, or things to assist some of the local animals like bat boxes and stuff, and owl boxes. This is a little place for them to have some refuge. Put a little squirrel block on there so the squirrels don't get in and make a mess. Okay, I have to keep looking out now. Second bird that flew over. I'm looking on the ground, so I gotta look up some more. So nice. These are coast live oak again, not scrub oak. But if you notice, everything around here grows kind of low. Talking about the coastal sage scrub, where it's really windy and you see the landscape and the plants are sculpted by wind. It's like a big hand has gone across and just kind of smushed everything down and like it lives like in a wind tunnel, right? It's been combed back. And the Germans had a term, all the German naturalists used to travel to California, like Escholz. That's why Escholzia californica, the California poppy. They came up with names of phenomena in German. So as Krummholz is the wind browsing, basically the wind sculpted landscape you get on the coastline. It's Krummholz. There's also Zeitgeber. It's like the biological clock telling you it's time to migrate. So that's a Zeitgeber. It basically translates to time giver in German. And another one is Zugenruh, which is like the urge to go. Like, let's go, or Zugenruh. And you suddenly have the urge to leave an area or to migrate. Lots of German words. So you got some different lichens growing out here, different colors. Little stands of serpentine rock mixed with some other stuff. And there's San Francisco Bay. Let's see if I can adjust my... It's so bright in here, I can barely see my screen. Bear with me. I'm going to switch to different angle while I do a quick... Let's go. Well, apparently the brightness is maxed out. It's just so damn bright out here today. I can barely see my screen. But yeah, I'm pointing at the bay right now, so that's good. See the houses nearby. They started putting these benches out here for people who want to linger and enjoy the wildflowers. It's a new thing, like 10 years ago maybe, something like that. And they donated to people who like contributed. It's dedicated to people contributing a bunch of money in the name of somebody who passed or whatever. So here again is some introduced grass. Very, very carpety, bunchy, unlike the normal native grasses, which are actually little tight bunches. If you look, these little tassel-y things in the distance here, like here. See the like bunch grasses form like little bunches, and then the dead leaves are still sticking up in little tassels, little tufts. That's normal bunch grasses in California. This is introduced stuff from Europe, where it just carpets individual grass strands. And so this area has less of the serpentine soil. And this area over here, which has none of it. Notice on the edges, whether they disturbed it for doing the trails and stuff, mixed up the dirt a little bit, you're getting some of the intrusive plants. But over there, almost none. So like I was saying in another couple days ago, I think it was, natural protection of the area by chemistry. Plants evolved here. Soil chemistry is very specific. The invaded plants from Europe and other places just don't know what to do about it. So they grow on the margins, wherever they can grow, where the concentration's different. Anyway, so there's more wildflowers. A lot of the same ones I already pointed out, but you can see they're all over the place. There's California poppy pretty close by. State flower. They have a funny growth pattern when the flower shoots up, and then it has this little bit of a on it. You can pull it off like a dunce cap, and then the petals open up. It naturally just pops off, but you can actually pull it off if you want. And it's kind of a funny structure. So again, goldfields, blue-eyed grass, allium, owl clover, all the same stuff. Some larkspurs over here. I'm hoping we have the shooting stars up here. Those are some of my favorites. They might be later in the season, I can't remember. Probably the best time to come here was maybe a couple weeks ago after some good rain. But we still got a decent stand of wildflowers. There's a nice carpet you often get out here. See the golden carpet there. From all those are gold fields pretty much. Tiny little flowers. And you can see why it's called gold fields. Creates a field of gold. Nice close-up of California poppy. You can see inside of it. There's a couple little tufts of bunch grass there. You can see the growth pattern very well. Typical. Oh. That's a hawk. That distance. It sounded like a it was a red-shouldered hawk, I think. Not a red tail. Very different sound. Red-tailed hawk, if you don't know, watch any nature program or Wild West show or anything that shows a wilderness, and they generally have a bird flying overhead, and they play the call of the red-tailed hawk. It's like a, can't even whistle today. Kind of like that, but much more raspy and longer, and it, nice reverberant, natural reverberant noise in the nature setting. You hear that everywhere on documentaries, commercials, movies, and it's rarely the actual bird. It's just a cool sound. Got all kinds of burrows here from pocket gophers, and snakes will often use their burrows, hence the name gopher snake. They go, there's a nice hole, I'll use that. Nice. Oh, there it is. Let's see, the brightness is wrong, so I can't see very well. Hopefully that's a little closer. So raptor singing on the wing. There's another trail that goes down to the parking lot, where Edgewood Road loops around, goes down into civilization down there. So if you don't know this area too well, this is San Francisco Bay. South Bay's down there. Past these hills, you can't see, is San Jose. Down at the end of the bay, around maybe that way, Milpitas, Alviso. Keep going, it's Fremont. Curve around, you get Union City, and all that kind of stuff. There is a bridge visible from here. It's the Dumbarton Bridge, which I've shown you from the Baylands area in Palo Alto. That's the Dumbarton Bridge right there, the little arch going over the water. So that's Palo Alto, where the Dumbarton Bridge is. And we are in San Mateo County here. So, Palo Alto's over there, Redwood City. This is the Seaport Road conference area. It's this whole landfill where they've done a whole massive conference area. Businesses out here and stuff. You drive a little twisty road out there to get to these conference areas. Pretty fancy complex. And you keep going down a little further and you get to San Mateo Bridge. And on a good day, on a really high point here, you could see San Francisco downtown. But it's hard because it's often foggy or hazy. So, not common. Lots of the buttercups I was talking about. See the shiny? As I move around, you see the shininess of the petals inside. That grass. I don't know if I can get close enough to this. It's kind of windy. You can see the petals there, very shiny, like you put nail polish on them. Often the thing's up here, but it's pretty dead right now. And then it's not the holidays, but you see a really obvious thing right here in this tree. See that kind of tufted reddish brown or greenish brown, kind of more yellow actually today. That's basically mistletoe. So everyone uses mistletoe for, hang on the mistletoe, you kiss underneath it. It's a whole holiday thing. Mistletoe is actually a parasitic plant. It's crapped out by a bird on the branches, grows, invades the tree bark, and steals energy from the tree. Now it has some chlorophyll still, so it can make its own food if it needs to. But it's really big on parasitism. So you'll see that's a pretty good size one, especially for a tree that small. But you'll see it all over the place here, these little balls of growth as it spreads out. And it's not cute and cuddly for Christmas. It's a nasty parasite. Doesn't kill the plant, but it just weakens it. And how would you like to have a big growth on you like that? Not only weighing you down, but stealing your energy. It's not so cool, but that's mistletoe. Alrighty, no more birds. I'll keep my eye out for them. Not seeing any more of the blue dicks. I was waiting to see some more blue dicks. The other ones I saw were far away. So you see the trails down there that fork, go to different parts of the road. Hold on a second, I got smudges on my, let me kill my gimbal real quick and wipe these smudges off my glass. I can't see shit with the smudges. It's a little better, still smudgy as hell though. Okay, that's better. Turn the gimbal back on. Okay, it's gonna change angle. Okay. Hopefully the signal holds up. Sometimes in the oak woodland it gets a little choppy. So bear with me if it loses the signal or gets choppy, I'll be back. Here's the feathery fern-like leaves of the white yarrow. And then the flower stalk that's died. White flowers. Already did its part, and now it's time to die. Ooh. That's some heavy bass. is that? Sounds like a huge jet engine. Wow. Haven't heard a bassy sound like that in a while. Very low frequency. There you go, into the magical forest. And again, the temperature drops instantly to really comfortable. Still a little bit breezy in here. Now we get some other plants. This is toyon. Has these little red berries when it's ripe. Little toothed leaves. There's a small California bay growing up. There are bigger trees around here. Related to the bay used for spices. Here's the big one. Or bigger. They get much bigger than this though. Much stronger than the one you use for seasoning from Mediterranean, but you can cook with this one. There's a compound in there called umbelluone. It's very strong. It's also called a headache tree because if you inhale it, you can get a rush and get a major headache from the umbelluone. But you can't cook with it. It's just much stronger. I think you have to cut it way back to do the equivalent of the Mediterranean bay. Again, no serpentine grassland here. So look at all the weeds and stuff growing around here. They're doing just fine in this area because the soil is different chemistry. Lots of invasive grass species from Europe. There's everyone's favorite, poison oak right there. And again, poison oak all around here. Look at all that. Growing, growing, growing like crazy. It's all pretty new growth, so it's all nice and green, not too shiny yet. But it still has the nasty compounds in it. If you touch it, you will get a rash if you are allergic. And I think most people are allergic. I've only met a few people here and there that aren't. But and you have cute little ferns here. This is like a small wood fern, very small wood fern. This is goosegrass. Also, I think it's Gallium aparine is the scientific name. Supposedly a version of goosegrass, if not the exact species that's found in Europe, was used for the guy who invented Velcro. He was studying the fruits under a microscope because they would get on everything. And he discovered these little hooks. And any bit of hair, like animal hair, your socks, whatever, would immediately attract the little hooked fruits. And so he reverse engineered it and came up with Velcro based on this guy. So, or a relative of it. I don't remember the exact thing, but you might have the same species in Europe. Some things are on other continents, so naturally. But yeah, so people getting inventions from nature. It's all over the place. That's a very young one, very small one, but that's gooseberry, hillside gooseberry. It's got spiny stems, certain type of leaf, and then they grow nice little gooseberries. You can actually eat them. And again, more of this goose grass. You know, it's not a grass. Goose grass. More poison oak, more peas and vetches around here, little viney stuff. Ah, nice. Maidenhair fern. Very delicate little leaflets there. Similar to the one you buy in nurseries around the world. This is the California maidenhair fern, but they look very similar to the one you can buy in a nursery. Very delicate. And they are true ferns, so they have a spore life cycle. They need a lot of water, so just by them being present here, you know this area gets wet a lot. Right now it's not. Look at the moss on the tree, same thing. It's dry now, but the very presence of the moss is telling you this is a wet area a good portion of the time. And in fact, some of this moss here and other places around the area is where I get my tardigrades from my micro attic channel. Because tardigrades have two common names, water bear and moss piglet, because they have a little snout. And I find them on moss all the time. And just like the moss can dry, they've evolved the process where they go into the stasis. The same stasis allowed them to go into orbit. They exposed them to the atmosphere, the lack of atmosphere of space, essentially in orbit. And they went into the stasis immediately, and they survived. They were able to come back after the trip in space, which is pretty wild. So you got to respect tardigrades. You know, the cockroaches and other insects might inherit the earth after we nuke each other, but even the tardigrades can survive a trip through space without a spacesuit. California bay again. You see it's got the same basic look of the leaf of a bay you would cook with. Too bad you don't have smell-o-vision. They smell great. Just don't inhale too deeply because you can give you a headache. And people living here in the old days want to make a pest-free dog bed for their pets. They put a bunch of these leaves in their dog bed, like a pillow or sewn up dog bed full of stuffing. And there are no pests in that dog bed because if this is strong for us, for insects and other pests, it's way too strong for them. They can't handle it. So they don't like it. They'll stay away, and your dog won't get attacked, or your cat. And it also smells nice. Your animal will smell nice, like a bay. There's some serious goosegrass there. Look how big that stuff gets when it's nice and healthy. Again, not a grass, but it's called goosegrass. There's a bigger wood fern and all this horrible poison oak. A couple other ferns in the area. One's really cute. I can find it. I'm just very careful not touching some of this shit because of all the poison oak. Again, look at the moss. Moss, moss, moss. Beautiful. And this place is really cool. You're not supposed to be here at night, but I've been here many times at night for ecological study, for a class, as well as just for fun. Not doing anything wrong, just enjoying the nature. And this is beautiful at night. A little bit spooky with the tree limbs everywhere and the moonlight, but very, very nice. You hear owls up here and stuff. Great horned owl. If you don't know great horned owl, it's ooh, 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 ooh. And a couple of variations of that, but that's the main call that they do. And you'll hear them talking to each other across open spaces. It's fun. I don't see the other tiny fern. Must be on the other side. A long time ago, you could see an old car abandoned down here that had rolled down the hill from previous people who lived here before they made the place a protected site. But it's so much overgrowth down there that you can't see it anymore. It's like a car from the 30s or something. Although there's an old tire right there. Down in the bushes. Okay. Shooting stars? No shooting stars. I'm either too early or too late. This is where the shooting stars often hang out. Beautiful little flowers. Shooting star is a common name. It's Dodecatheon hendersonii. Beautiful flowers. So here's a little trail you can go to the top of that hill. I saw walking in. It's a dead end. You can look around and then you have to come back. And there's the loop that goes around the entire top and rim of the other hills behind me. But I usually take the one to the right, goes up and down, and eventually goes all the way to the bottom. And then I take the road coming out. This one in the middle is not as interesting, so I don't take this one anymore. Let's get a little exercise here. So I didn't lose signal yet that I can tell, but I might lose it going through the other part of the oak woodland. We'll see. Again, these trail markers were put in 10, 15 years ago. A long time, this was just a dirt path. People just go wherever they want to. Kind of do anyway, but, and I'll show you why. Lots of blue-eyed grass. Shells. Lots of birds in these trees. Oh, dark-eyed junco. Oh, it took off. It's Oregon dark-eyed junco, Junco hyemalis. And cute little birds. The male has a really dark head. Looks like an executioner's hood. The ones in the hills near Lake Tahoe. There's a pink-sided Oregon race. The cap is more of a gray color, and nice pink sides. Very cute. So here's where I came in. Over there. Walked along this trail here. There's that bench I walked by. The person's over there at the bench. And then came up through the side here. So you get a better view of that stand of chaparral. Chaparral to the right. So big, beautiful old oaks here. Very old oaks. And there's birds flitting about in these trees. So this is a good mix too. You've got coast live oak here. And look at these leaves. It's also an oak, very different. This is a valley oak. So that's Quercus agrifolia. This is Quercus lobata, as in lobed. And check out the lobes. I'll zoom in on a light background. You'll see the lobes very easily. See the lobes? It's not this roundish, decurved, spiny thing. It's this softer, spread out, lobed leaves. So that's the valley oak. There's also one called Gary oak, which looks similar. There's several other oaks in California. The famous one in Europe is the Quercus suber, the cork oak, where they get their wine corks from. You see the oak bark here is really firm and furrowed, hard, hard stuff, not soft. But the cork oak, there's actually a cork oak on the De Anza College campus over in Cupertino. You can just push into the bark. It's very soft. So whenever they figure that out, you put a little tap in there and you pull out a perfect shaped tap for your bottle, hence a cork. That's cork oak. So again, great view here. Lots of cool stuff to see. Took me a while before I drove by this place, but there's a little tower down here. That's I believe that's the PG&E or AT&T tower that has the satellite dishes in it. The microwave transmission dishes right there. Just kind of off by itself, very tall white tower. You'll drive by, it has these big microwave drums in it for microwave transmission reception. All right, so it was a nice close-up. Lobe leaves, look at that. Quercus lobata. And these are young leaves, so they're quite soft. I've seen them where they get much older and greener and harder, but they're nothing like these, which are really, really crumpled up, hard, spiny, ouch, poke you in the fingers leaves with that kind of curved shape. These are the heads, these little tassels. So this one's been breeding like crazy, but there's all kinds of pollen in the air right now. Luckily I'm not allergic that much. And you got the wild barley here, foxtail. Saw that on another walk I showed you guys, introduced. Poison oak everywhere, look at all that. Yeah, terrible. So I did a whole night up here once under this big oak tree back in college, back in 1992. Oh, 93. I was 93 actually. Was it 92? No, it was 1990. Wow, a long time ago. And I picked this spot to do my overnight study for the site. So I had a great lookout in the whole area. I didn't have any night vision back then or thermal stuff, sadly. I couldn't afford it. But, you know, my binoculars, my eyes are adapted to the dark. I'm an astronomy guy, so I'm used to dark skies and my eyes opening wide up. Keep my eyes and ears open for animals, you know, birds and mammals, stuff like that. Taking hourly temperature and humidity readings with a sling psychrometer. And, you know, also have my recorder with a parabolic dish so I could record bird songs if I heard any up here. Didn't hear that much, an owl or two, something like that, but it was actually pretty boring that night. And it was cold and windy, so it was a little bit miserable, but it's such a beautiful place. But that's why I like it so much. I've just been here so much, spent so much time here and really got to know the place over the years and changed a bunch, but still a lot of similarities when I was here studying it. So they put this bench up here as well, dedicated to somebody. And you're not supposed to go past this point. But the only reason I'm going to is to show you the trail I take back and a slightly different view of the park. So you see it's already worn here. People are doing what I'm doing, which is a no-no, but I'm doing it for you guys. I've already seen the view. So there's the trail I take back all the way to the back exit. There's the fork that goes into the oak woodland over there. You can check that out. And then there's Highway 280 right there. So it's pretty quiet here with the wind and the low traffic. But on a certain time of night when it's not windy, it's pretty still, you can really hear the freeway. It's kind of noisy. But hey, what are you going to do? You have protected areas, and they're going to be mixed use. There's no way to, in this day and age with overpopulation and money and power and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to get your wishes to have a pristine area. You're going to have something messed up with some noise pollution, some actual pollution, some light pollution. If you're an astronomer, you're going to get some lots of people making noise, messing up the place, trashing it. I notice I don't see any garbage here, which is good. But it's still relatively unknown unless you're a local or a friend brought you here or some field guide or something like that. Book of California stuff to do. A lot of people still don't know about this place, which is keeping it nicer than it normally would be. I mean, you want people to see things and share things, but there's a cliff swallow flying around there, zipping around. Saw those at the Baylands the other day. I shot some footage out there. But as usual, you know, as much as you want to be open and share things with people, a lot of times they just ruin it. So it's kind of good this place stays a little bit under the radar, because it's already protected no matter what. It's not like, oh, it's not getting enough use, so we have to mess it up now. No, it's protected. Unfortunately, California, in a way, is kind of its own country, even though it's part of the U.S. But whatever bullshit's happening in D.C. and other stupid states right now, and the East Coast, you're basically, we kind of have a lot of autonomy here. Whatever stupid ideas they have to ruin parts of Texas and Alabama and other, Oklahoma, places like that. We're much more forward thinking here in general. There's some idiots here, but to preserve it for future generations, not just the natural beauty, but clean air, clean water. Population's fairly in check, but it's still overpopulated. Traffic is bad. How this war bullshit with the oil prices going up has made it much worse. But anyway, it's still a fun place to live, even if it's expensive. And you have beautiful places like this all over, and this nice weather. I know a lot of you guys have shit weather where you are. I know that sucks, but we're able to have great weather here. Birds singing over there. I believe that's a warbler. That might be a Wilson's warbler. That kind of sewing machine. By the time I get over it, it's going to fly away, so I'll just assume. Oh, lizard. Western fence lizard. Hey, just came out of the bushes. If I stop. Oh, he's doing push-ups because he's upset. They do this aggressive pose where they do push-ups. Look at him. He's working out. That's what they do to each other to show dominance. And they do it to big animals like us, and it's just silly. Looks like them just working out doing push-ups. So they're also called blue bellies. They have a bluish color underneath. And these are the kind of lizards you grab the tail and it breaks off in defense and wiggles in your hand while they run away and they grow a new tail. Western fence lizard. Celoporus occidentalis, I think. It's been a long time since I looked them up. But anyway, so there's California sagebrush. I showed that at the Maylands walk. This is, what is this one? It's a legume relative. And I forgot the damn name of it. Another one I have to look up. But it's one of those legume shrubs. Are you gonna do your push-ups again? Pretty good camouflage. If it doesn't move, you just think that's some dead material. But you can see the tail going down right in the middle of the frame there. Body's up to the right. He's moving his head around a little bit to keep an eye on things. But he's pretty still otherwise. Let's get a little closer to see what my tolerance is here. Are you going to take off? Oh, there he goes. Not yet. You can still get pretty close to it. But he stopped doing his push-ups. I love the push-ups. That's a scrub oak there. Chemise again. Coast live oak. Poison oak. Ugh. Lots of poison oak. So you see the housing here is pretty dense. There are a lot of trees in the way, so it makes it look more broken up, but it's pretty dense housing here, even in these hills. These are pretty big, expensive houses here. Some are multi-story on stilts. Some have incredible views, and some look at a damn freeway, so it just depends where you are. So it's not a totally busy area, but people do come through here periodically. You can see. Here's what's left of sticky monkey flower when the flowers are gone. It's still sticky, sticking to my fingers. There, but the flowers are gone. It's got those nice orange flowers. It's being very generous, calling it a monkey's face. It kind of looks like a monkey's face a little bit, but. And they're fun because when the a beetle or something goes inside of it to get the pollen and to get the nectar actually, and they get pollen on them, to ensure the pollen gets on them, the flower actually slowly constricts around them, the tube, to ensure the pollen on their back. And they go to the next flower and there's the pollination. Yeah, this is scary. Face level poison oak all over the place here, growing through the trees. There, poison oak. So again, it's going to be viney, growing up through trees, and fool the hell out of people. Lots of old oaks, all covered with moss. Again, you can see how much moisture is normally around here from the moss. Oh, nice. Hound's tongue. A denizen of the oak woodland. Look at that. Hound's tongue has this big strap leaves like a dog's tongue. Cynoglossum grande. Very nice. Haven't seen that one for a while. I think it's in the borage family. Borage. Look at that. Growing like a vine, that little bastard. Along the ground. Bay again. See, horses have been here. That's some fresh horse apples there. More toyon. Some more viney stuff. This is California grape or manroot. I forgot which does the vines like that here. Some serious vines though. This is a cool one. Much like another plant I'll show later called manzanita. Has fruits look like little apples, and they even change color like a ripening apple. Green to reddish color. This is called madrone or madronio. And this has that characteristic peeling bark, revealing smooth sections. So you see right above there, it's all smooth, where the bark is peeled away either from abrasion or wind or whatever. And it's very uncommon in this area for plants to do that. Only manzanita and madrone do that. So some people have postulated this might be a holdover from when it was more of a tropical species, and the epiphytes grow on it, the plants that tend to grow on the bark in tropical rainforests and stuff, like bromeliads and other kinds of stuff that grows on tree trunks. Weighs down the tree, makes it heavy because they get waterlogged, and eventually the tree can fall over and crack and die. So you got to be a pretty stout tree to handle your epiphytes and all the animals crawling around on it and living on it and stuff like that. So a lot of plants in the tropics shed their bark. It's pretty common down there. Not so common up here. So some stuff I read years and years ago was thinking that this was a holdover from when a species like this was down, or either this was a tropical area, or it's migrated up through time with being brought by animals or whatever to maintain those characteristics of a tropical plant. So interesting. I'll get closer to one of the manzanita ones. You can see how smooth it is. I don't want to walk through that poison oak back there. It's nasty. And again, everything they falls or they cut down here just stays on the side to naturally break down, unless it gets too much. They don't like to make this place look too manicured, because again, it's a preserve. You want it to look natural and wild. Wow, look at that. They've got spider webs and the dead flower structure. That's pretty cool. Oh, lizard on the rock. On the log. Go, go, go. Push-ups. He's doing push-ups. Look at him. That's aggression. Doing those push-ups. They always do that. Then they calm down for a while once they realize the scene is clear. Another western fence lizard. Oh, another cool bird song. Again, it sounds like a warbler. I don't have my binoculars, and I can't zoom this camera properly to see it, but I do see color. So it's definitely a warbler of some kind. Yeah, it's got some olive green color to the body. Lots of species of warblers here. In fact, some can be very tricky to identify. So you need a bird book, experience, and binoculars, and carefully study them. Notice certain markings. Sometimes you only get a glance, and that's it. Nice thing is it's recorded on here so I can go back, and there's some really good bird apps on the phone as well as on websites where you can do just like you do with Shazam for music, you can do with birds. So if you're totally lost, you can feed the sound into the program. It does some analysis and says, hey, it's probably this bird. Or sometimes it's dead on. It is this bird. So I love shit like that. Didn't have that stuff when I was learning all this stuff. It really helps a lot. I just saw a bee fly hovering in the sun. These little flies that behave like bees, or look like bees, but hover. And sometimes they're very cool looking. Kind of like a dragonfly, but way smaller, like the size of a bee. And it's really cool when you see them flying and just freeze. And they're just hovering in a spot. So again, very lush here. You can tell how moist it is around here during a lot of the times. So far I haven't lost my signal. Here, how many planes here? We're on a flight path for SFO. So non-stop planes right here no matter where you go. More hound's tongue leaves. Flowers have already passed. Okay, no signal lost yet. Lucky, lucky. Now is the part where you get a little more exercise. Going uphill. Now we're going to the chaparral. So here's kind of your ecotone equivalent to chaparral. And it's a hard temperature difference. Bam. Instantly hot. Again, sticky monkey flower, chemise. Toyon's also up here. Lichens growing on the chemise. Oak trees are up here sometimes. Word has it, from stuff I've read, that one of the names of chemise is tiny-leaved greasewood, which is a good name for it because it's tiny leaves. And apparently it's a very greasy, oily kind of wood when you smash it up and feel the texture. And supposedly the oils are short-chain fatty acids, which are very volatile. And some stuff I've read said they contribute to the natural fire ecology of chaparral. Obviously, a lightning strike will burn any forest or grassland. But if you also have volatile compounds in the area, just like pouring gasoline on something, burns very quickly, very easily. And so that's supposedly chemise, one of the chemise's roles up here. Why it's in the chaparral is fire ecology, just like oak woodland, redwood forest, pine forest in California, coastal scrub. A lot of these are all, what they call fire ecology. The health of the community and is from fire. You burn up all this old debris, loosen up the nutrients, make them readily available as basically fertilizer. It's nice burned up like soil, ready to go. They can touch soil, they can touch fertilizer, they can germinate, get a little water, boom, they're off and running. You drop seeds in this crap, most seedlings are very small. If they even get wet and germinate properly, the roots may not hit the soil. So here's this little thing with roots coming out, it dries up and dies. Never even gets to the soil. So a lot of this material is called, it's just biological material or duff, often called duff in like a pine forest or redwood forest, lots of pine needles and branches and stuff piled up over years, sometimes, if there aren't enough fires. And there is no soil exposed. So a little tiny thing comes out, boom, nowhere to go, no chance. So the fire not only burns up all the material, liberates the soil. Now it's exposed, as well as having new burned up minerals and other nutrients ready to go. So the seedling drops down, gets wet, it's happy, happy, happy. Another thing that happens too is some of these plants that have cones, certain types of certain types of pine trees and redwood, giant redwood cones and stuff like that, they open under heat. So they don't want to just drop their seeds any old time if they can help it. So they're encouraged to open with the heat. And that the heat means the fire's gone through, hopefully it's safe, drop the seeds. Oh, look at that, nice soil, boom. Got some water, we're good to go, right? So that's really cool as well. And because a lot of pine trees and redwood trees and stuff have really thick bark, they can handle the burning. Fire goes right through, as long as it doesn't have too many years of not burning from human prevention or other means that would prevent it from burning normally. Then the debris burns up naturally, and you have a fire that's not too hot. It's pretty quick, goes right through. And again, you got all your goodies. You opened your cones, you didn't damage your tree too much, and you have nice soil and fertilizer ready to go. The problem is human beings want to live in these areas, like the hills of this area and the hills above LA and areas around Yosemite and the Sierra Nevada and all that kind of stuff. I want my beautiful view and all my trees, and don't touch anything. Don't do controlled burns because they look bad and they stink. Don't do any of that shit. And I don't want any possible fire spreading to my house. All right, fine. We won't do it. Oh, guess what? You've got so many years of debris now. If a fire comes through now, you're kind of screwed. And they found that out several years ago up in the hills around Yosemite, where a ton of houses were lost and businesses and everything else. And because it's windy and heavy and really hot fire, it jumps across the road, no problem. So the road wasn't even a good fire break, even though it's a good sized road. So normally a fire break is like 3-4 times the width of this, and dirt doesn't burn, right? But if you've got wind and a big flame and debris is blown across, or the flame itself gets blown as an arc to spread to the side, then you just spread the fire no matter what. So the gaps don't always work, whether it's a road, a dirt fire break, or whatever. And you can wet your house down. It won't matter if the fire is hot enough, it will burn something. So kind of idiots who like to live in these areas, who don't know anything about where they move and want to have, their area so-called protected, they're doing the exact opposite. And that's sad. People lost their homes and lost lives and lost pets and irreplaceable, like, collector's items. Music, a couple of musicians lost like really rare music instruments and Grammys and all kinds of stuff. But, don't live in an area that's nature designed to basically, through evolution, fire helps it be healthy. That's the way it works. And if you refuse to learn about it or think it's not a real thing, you'll find out the hard way, and they did. So it's sad. But so you have to do controlled burns. You have to have a fire break around your house if you can. You have to minimize other weaknesses in your area, because a fire will eventually come, and you want to have it be your house to be least attracted to the fire as possible, right? By distance, by other things you can do. But if you're in the area, you're going to get burned somehow, no matter what. But if you do it correctly, you may not lose your stuff. You'll just get some damage. So I wish more people would realize that, especially after the last few major fires in California. Should have been a real eye-opener to people who are ignorant or just don't want to learn, or think it's all bullshit or fake news or whatever the hell bullshit they want to talk about. I mean, Trump at one point was talking about raking the forest it's like, no, look, this is naturally here. No one's raking this forest. This place, they might have had a fire here maybe 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. This place doesn't normally burn. But it's a pretty mature forest, and it's doing fine on its own. It doesn't need any real management. And because it's so small, controlled burns would actually damage quite a bit of the area, I think. So they kind of leave this one alone, and it hasn't been a problem. But again, notice there are no houses right here. This is the natural part of the park. On the edges, you have all the houses. So they've cleared all this stuff there and built houses there. So they are as safe as they're going to be, unless they do something stupid with their own, flammable storage at home, or kids play with matches or whatever. But it's just way too much ignorance out there about where people live, what's normal, what's not normal, and ways to alleviate some of the fears and the possible destruction by managing your area better. But, the first thing is just don't live there. If you don't want to worry about fires or deal with all the shit that goes with it, just don't live there. And, but, same thing with mudslides. People want to live in the hills around here. Lots of erosion when it's heavy rains because of all the human intervention and clearing too much brush, which holds the soil together. And now you have mudslides. And then a house on big stilts goes, along with the house next to it down the hill because of a mudslide. So again, everything works together. You have to use your head and do things correctly. Otherwise, you face the consequences. Some more birdies around here. Got more hound's tongue. Pretty popular in the Oakland here. We've seen several of them already. And if we're lucky, we'll see the Indian paintbrush, Castanea. All kinds of birds here. Some of these I know and some of them I don't. A lot of the calls I never got to learn because I don't see them enough sink into my brain. So thank goodness for old cassette recordings I bought from National Geographic. And then as time went by, the internet, and now these apps that have the goddamn sounds built into them. So while you're walking around with your phone, I can't do it now because I'm streaming with the phone, but I could pull out one of my bird apps and either listen to match the sound, or like I said, I can record it and have it do a match. And it does a damn good job at that, as long as the recording is good enough. You even pick up the regional difference in the bird song. Cardi bush, sticky monkey flower, all the same. Sticky monkey flower, no flowers. Hound's tongue, poison oak. There's the leaves of Indian warrior, and there are some of the colored leaves that look like flowers, but it's actually colored leaves. The flowers haven't come out yet. So that's Indian warrior, different than Indian paintbrush. So pedicularis, I think, is the genus of Indian warrior. I need to look that up. There's some flowers coming out the sides. So again, you have reddish leaves and bracts and stuff like that supporting the flowers, and gives you that reddish overall color, but only the little tubular flowers coming out are bright red. Let me show you here. There's one right here. Come on, this pinch zoom isn't working. There we go. Indian warrior, look at that. Whole bunch of them. And it's got that ferny kind of leaf structure to it. Not quite ferns, but similar. Still didn't see the goldback ferns. I'll have to look for those. Ooh, there's a nice Indian warrior right there. Look at that. Beautiful. A whole bunch of either side here. More lizards running around. More hound's tongue. This is gambleweed, I think. This little trilobe leaves there. I think it's called gambleweed. Been a long time. It's actually a native. What else we got? So here's a nice madrone. See the nice big smooth leaves. Very smooth, no teeth, but still kind of leathery. And look at this, the bark is peeled up on the top. So smooth. And this is where it's all chipped away. And it's been like this for a long time. These parts still haven't chipped off, but they come off really easy. So again, if you got some weight on here, wind and stuff like that, or animals doing some stuff like me, pops right off. So that's why they're thinking it came from an old habitat where this species was, where it had epiphytes. They don't have them anymore, but it still has the behavior, shedding its bark very easily. Nice color too. Manzanita is more reddish color. This one's more orange color. Back to the chemise. Oh, look, we got some pitcher sage. Lepicinia. You crush it, it's got that wonderful sage smell. But they're all a little bit different. There's black sage, pitcher sage, all kinds of different sages here. And then the mint family. And they often have stems that are kind of squarish, but not always. A big thing of toy on there. Lots of lichens. Look at that goosegrass I was talking about. Look how it's growing up here on top of stuff. It's way off the ground. It's also kind of viney and grows up all through the chemise here. Goosegrass is another fun thing about goosegrass, now I can touch this piece of it. No poison oak. Not only does it have the fruits that the guy studied to get Velcro out of it, but if you run your hands up it, there's these little stiff hairs and it grabs you. You can feel it grabbing you. Not sticky, just like little stiff hairs. It's another indicator that's goosegrass. Back to the heat. Full sun. I don't even know what time it is now. 2 o'clock, 2:30. I can't see the fucking clock on YouTube when I use this. Yeah, I left my watch at home, my little cheap Chinese Apple Watch knockoff. But it's hot. Might not be the hottest part of the day, but it's pretty hot. Another view of 280 on the top here. Now, if you go, there's a trail that goes under. Oh, you can see actually the power lines there. They've carved a whole section where the power lines run through the hills, up and over. If you go, in case the phone doesn't last that long, 280 and goes to a little side parking lot area of Edgewood Road. You take that down, hit Kenyatta Road, turn right, go down a ways, and that's Filoli. If you've never heard of Filoli, it's a real famous fancy estate turned into a park. You have to pay to get in, but it's worth it. Beautiful old nurseries there and fruit trees, and it's just a really well landscaped grounds. Beautiful big old house. So you walk through and see all the historic stuff in there. And if you know the show Dynasty from the 80s, the very opening credit sequence, flying over that building with multiple chimneys, that's supposed to be their house. That's Filoli. They used Filoli for the Dynasty credits. They even shot a little bit of the first episode in the courtyard of the house to show that they're actually there. But everything was shot in Hollywood sound stages or Burbank or one of those, sound stages down there, Southern California. But they wanted to use this location here because it's pretty cool. And, poison oak with flowers again. Look at that. It's got some cute little flowers on it, but, it's nasty. So, yeah, Filoli and Dynasty. It's right down the road. And then there's if you go to that T intersection where you turn right to go on Kenyatta Road to go to Filoli, right at that T intersection, just to the left, this little kind of stone archway or stone columns. That's Moore's estate. Moore as in Moore's Law from Intel. I don't know if he's still alive, but that's his estate. And a friend I used to work with was playing in a band with one of the groundskeepers of his estate. And Moore was really cool. He let him one of his garages as a practice space. So they'd all drive up there, go to his property and jam and not have to worry about pissing anybody off because it's a big estate and nobody could hear it. They learned a bunch of their songs up there and stuff. And then, unfortunately, one of the band members died. Not the guy who worked there, but another guy. And because they used the estate so much and Moore liked the guys, he allowed him to have the guy's funeral. It was a Buddhist funeral on the premises. And because I know the guy really well from work and did a couple of video sessions of their band out in public, made some DVDs for him, they invited me to his funeral. It's a really nice funeral, very sad. But yeah, so I've actually been on Moore's property, seen his house and stuff. It's really nice, but he's just right down the road too. So again, this is greater Silicon Valley area. All the shit's here. Moore is here, and Hewlett Packard garage, Steve Jobs home in Los Altos, HP garages in Palo Alto. There's Xerox Park, which is a Palo Alto research thing off of Foothill Expressway in Los Altos, kind of more Palo Alto area. And all this shit's right here. Doesn't mean as much now as it used to, because this Silicon Valley stuff popping up all over the place, but this is where it all started. And Moore is a huge name, obviously, because of Moore's Law. I think Moore's Law has been broken for several years, if not a decade, but it was a big thing for a while. Intel still has a big complex and a visitor center over in Santa Clara near Mission College, right by where I used to work. Nice little campus there. All right, what else we got here? Not seeing any other new plants. When it's really wet earlier in the year, there'll be all kinds of fungi on these logs and stuff. It's really cool for fungi hunting. I kind of missed it this year. I was getting ready to go to the fungus fair in Santa Cruz. I totally forgot. And boy, does that go quickly. So over a month went by before I realized, oh shit, I missed the fungus fair. Fungi here too. Ah, here it is, goldback fern. Look at this cute little guy. That's the fern right there. There's 1, 2, 3, all little clusters of ferns called goldback ferns. And they're really cool because they have a gold spore print. So I don't recommend doing this because it does steal the spores out of the wild, and this is part of the reproductive cycle, and they reproduce that much. So people do this for greeting cards and stuff, and it's cute and it's pretty, but it's also destructive because you're stealing reproductive material from the wild for some art piece. And don't recommend doing this, but just to show you, never heard of it before, you can tap on the back and you can see the spores, little gold spores. And if you do it on like a black paper, you get the perfect pattern of the fern and a spore pattern. Very delicate, very pretty, nice with the gold spores. So anyway, I don't recommend doing that for fun or for business because it just deprives the stuff. But I do want to show, you don't see a lot of gold spores. They're always kind of brownish or black or dark color. And goldback ferns are just really cool for that. And they're just cute little ferns. So you've wood fern, goldback fern, maidenhair fern. There's some more wood fern. There's chain fern here somewhere. There's also sword fern. But I'm not seeing those. Sword fern likes a little more wet area and different kind of foresty area usually, but I did see a few sword ferns around here at one point. So much poison oak. Look at all that. Ugh. Terrible, terrible. There's a nice shot of a goosegrass stand coming out of the thing. You see the tiers. Nice little tiers of leaves. More birds. So this is the vine of poison oak. Look at this. Remember I said it grows like a vine at times? Look at that. These are vines of damn poison oak growing out with all the leaves on them. So if the leaves fell off and you go, hey, what's this vine? You grab it. Ah! You find out later the hard way as you get a terrible rash. But yeah, it's a bastard of a plant. And because the lobing of the leaves can be really extreme, like a valley oak, or more smooth, like these over here, see a little more rounded in some of these leaves. It fools people. So that's why it's called Toxicodendron diversilobum, because it has a diversity in the lobing pattern. They're trifoliate leaves in general, but not everyone knows to count leaves or whatever. They know, oh, look for the loby leaves that have a color to them. Which, because a lot of times you see them, they're not green, they're yellow and red and kind of other colors as they're changing. But this is the typical color when they're new, nice and green. And see, very deep lobing there, minimal lobing there. Some are almost round. And that throws a lot of people off. They're looking for very distinct patterns. And you can get burned, burned the hard way by thinking you know what you got. It's like the people who collect wild greens and think, oh, I can eat this. Looks like I can make a salad out of it. And they'll grab like this one called elk clover grows out here. And it's not something you want to eat. And then they get horribly sick or sometimes potentially die from it. Or like water hemlock. They think, oh, it's watercress. No, it's water hemlock. And you guys know what hemlock is. It's related to the hemlock that was, at least in poisoning level, the one that killed Socrates. Hemlock grows, it's a ground plant, kind of like fennel a little bit. Very, not quite like that, but if you don't look carefully, you might think, oh, that's just fennel. And it's really hemlock, and you could kill yourself. Because it doesn't smell like it or taste like it or even have the same leaf pattern, but it's roughly approximating that if you just do a quick glance at it. So, and water hemlock is, a similar thing. It's got little leaves like watercress does, but if you don't know what you're doing, don't grab fungi out of the wild, don't grab plants out of the wild and eat them. Even berries, sometimes it can be poisonous or just upset your stomach. And here's some fungi that were here not too long ago. They're already falling apart and rotting. And I don't remember what kind these are by this stage, but they're probably, again, not edible ones. Mushrooms can really mess you up. More goldback ferns. Bunch of little cuties. I'm not seeing any other ferns. Here. Or maidenhair. Oh, this area is very moist. You can tell because so many ferns right here. Very popular spot. Some joggers coming through here. Here you can see light coming through. You can see the little spore dots on the back of the ferns. Little sporangia. There's also one called five-finger fern. It's delicate like wood, like a maidenhair fern, but it has these 5 branches like a hand outstretched. Don't see that one here. I could have sworn that was also here, but there are other areas around here where it's more common. Lots of ferns. So being shady here most of the day and a lot of moisture, this is a perfect spot for this stuff. Of course, poison oak loves it also. Look at all that. Whew. These places change a lot. Like I used to come here with friends or by myself for little nature walks or whatever, do photography, sometimes a couple times a month, sometimes a couple times a week. And man, it can change a lot. Like suddenly these flowers that weren't there before, suddenly they're gone. Things come and go. You just never know. So it pays to revisit a place many times if you can. Get that variety. Wow, this thing is caked with moss. Look at that. But it's all dried out. So it'll come back as soon as it gets wet, as it's evolved to, just like the tardigrades that live on it. So I would normally grab a specimen of tardigrades, but I'm not going to do that for a while. No time for microscope shows lately, except for one I did about a week ago. I'll come back and get some tardigrade specimens. Ah, miner's lettuce. Look at that. Round leaves with a stem in the middle going straight down and a stem coming up with a flower on it. It's you can actually eat these. They actually taste pretty decent. They're safe. I just wouldn't eat the ones by poison oak, like around here. And miner's lettuce is a good name because that's what the gold rush, the miners out here ate. Because that was one that was really easy to identify, really easy to know it's safe, it tastes decent. Gather a whole bunch of it, make a little salad out of it. And it's weird because it's one of the few leaves. It's called a peltate leaf. So the stem is exactly in the middle of the leaf, growing straight down, and it grows around the stem. So that's called peltate. Very unusual growth pattern. More ferns of all kinds, but nothing new. See, the trails here are pretty narrow, so good thing they've done a lot of bikes here, although sometimes they ride these trails, or dogs or something like that in mass, because you could see that you might get pushed off and roll down the hill. It'd be very unpleasant. Horses are allowed here, but horses are fine as long as you don't act weird around them. They don't get spooked. As long as you there's enough room to move to the side, like I could step up here and the horse could go by. But some of these trails are quite narrow. And I've been on group hikes here. We're doing like plant identification and fungi identification and years and years and years ago. And it's a bit challenging with a big group. Someone's up there talking, you're way back here, and it's like, shit. And they're not going to bring a megaphone to a nice natural place like this. So it's a little challenging. More of the same plants. That's another warbler of some kind. I think that's a dark-eyed junco. That brrr. They also have what's that bird here? Chestnut-backed chickadees here sometimes. Those are really cool. You get bush tits, these cute little birds that flock together. Beep, 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 beep. Little flocks. There's a bird called a wren tit, which I think I'm hearing over there to the side. There's more Indian warrior. It has that right there. That's a kind of a warbler. But the other one, the wren tit, it's the male goes. It's like a bouncing ball twitter sound. It's like that. That's the male, and then the female is just a regular pattern. Hear them here once in a while. I usually hear them at other places like Rancho San Antonio, which I've done walks before. More Indian warrior. I'm not seeing that paintbrush. Maybe it's not out yet. Usually it's on this part of the trail. Much different color of red. It's got some orange in it, and it's more tassely looking on the flower side. More dissected. Kind of like you saw the owl's clover I showed in the beginning, and that's why they ended up grouping them together. They do have similar flower structures, even though the leaves, the size, and the colors are very different. Still don't see any paintbrush. Lots of warrior. This is a hill. You can always find Indian warrior here. This hillside is always covered with it. Just everywhere. See all the red and the fern-like leaves. No paintbrush. Funny, every time I walk a trail like this, there was a CD-ROM game that came out in the mid-90s on the heels of Myst and other click-and-go adventures. Those are all obviously 3D generated environments in Strata Studio Pro on the Mac. But a bunch of companies started making these click-and-go adventures with graphics and occasionally animated character in it, or just click-and-go graphics and puzzles. And there was one that came out clearly shot either in this area or the hills of LA, Hollywood Hills, whatever, called Welcome to the Future. And it was like the cheapest game. It had some good effects in it as far as transitions and graphics mixed in with the stuff. The majority of the game is pictures just like this. You're going down these little trails, up and down through shady areas and weird trees and stuff, and then you click on things and sometimes a shape will come out of a tree. You got to figure out these puzzles and stuff. And I don't know, I have it somewhere. It's a Mac only game, I think, at the time. And so Welcome to the Future. And every time I walk these trails, I think of that game, because they put the least amount of effort of any of those games ever, because all they went and took some nice pictures in a park somewhere, put some code around it, added some graphics, and sold it as an adventure game. It's like one of the laziest efforts I've ever seen. But it did look nice. It just was lazy. Got more people hiking through here. And then this hill is always fun because you find the lupins, the silver bush lupin. This is where the Monty Python thing will be. Lupins? What do you mean, lupins? And you sing the Dennis Moore song and all that stuff. So there's some ground lupins here that are kind of low to the ground. More herbaceous ones. There are more shrubby ones like this one, the silver bush lupin. They're all related. Most of them have that kind of purple flowers on them. The typical legume flowers, banner wing keel. Almost looks like a butterfly, the way the flower looks. There's some little pitcher sage up there. Little stand of pitcher sage. So again, more oaks here. Get down to the sticky monkey flower, no flowers on it. California sagebrush, not a sage, but it's convergent evolution thing where they smell just like a sage. Totally different plant family, totally different growth pattern. Everything's different except for the smell. Ooh, that's a skink. Holy moly, that's not a fence lizard, that's a skink right there. It's got little lines on it. You can barely make it out there, I hope. It's quick. Skinks are smooth lizards with little legs and racing stripes. And there's some here that are really colorful. One's a Gilbert skink, has like a red head. A little more chunky than this one. This is a really wimpy skink. Very, very small and very sneaky. That was it. Sometimes that's all you get. I'll have to go look that one up. There aren't too many in the area, so it'd be easy to discover which one it was. But it's black with this kind of white, creamish, could be yellow, racing stripes down the body. So that's the trail going back to that hill I walked up earlier. You guys saw the other end of it. Kind of a boring short trail, and it goes the wrong way. I want to go down here and catch the trail at the bottom and loop around. More monkey flower, more poison oak. More scrub oaks. See, there'd be more erosion here, but these plants are keeping it all together. More lizards making noise in the leaves. Of course, they can hear me coming a mile away, just the vibrations on the ground. So again, pretty plain up here, but you have a few areas with lupins and some other flowers. This fence has been here forever. There's some Blue-eyed grass. Oh, here we go. Blue dicks. We finally found a blue dicks. Look at that right there. It's a little cluster of purple flowers at the end of a stalk. Used to be called Brodia pulchella. Now it's Diclostema pulchella, or blue dicks is the common name, even though it's not really blue. Little tiny stalk that's very tall. And that's it. Blue dicks. There's another one that has flowers in a kind of an umbel formation. There's a center point and then stalks going in different directions, all meeting at the top, kind of like fennel does. It's called an umbel, and it's called ethereal spear. Again, I don't know the reference. Some kind of either biblical or literary reference. Yeah, there's silver bush lupin right there. Beautiful lupins. There's kind of silvery haired, kind of green with kind of silver color leaves. Silver bush lupin. And a blue dicks right next to it. Look at that. I knew I'd eventually find the blue dicks. Really cool. More lupins. Some more blue dicks up there randomly. More lupins. Fun little places where animals could hide, small animals could hide. Birds are going bonkers here. So now we're getting close to the freeway. Can't miss it. See if I can get a quick look at the bird. There's one that sounds just like that. It's Wilson's warbler. It's all yellow, like a canary. It's beautiful. I haven't seen one for a while, but it has that kind of a, like a little sewing machine, quick sound. I haven't seen one for a while, but again, I don't have my binoculars, and this camera won't show it very well. So I tried to eyeball it, didn't see it. More lizards, more poison oak. Another madrone, very small madrone. There's a little field that goes toward Edgewood Road that way. There's a trail that goes out that way here. Where the junction I have up here, you can go to the right, or you could have taken a trail off the main trail up the hills up there and go across that field. Used to park out there once in a while. Got all these switchbacks. Makes the trail a little less hilly. Sometimes you get some deer out here, certainly toward the end of the day. Deer love this little spot up here. Here we have the mule deer in this area, called Columbian black-tailed deer. Otocoileus hemionus columbianus. You know, I memorized all this shit back in college. It will not leave my brain. There's kind of a seep here. You can see some plants kind of gathering in the middle there. There's some water feature going through there. And then there's a little area sometimes. And occasionally you can see how it gets muddy up here. There's some water seeps into this trail. There's some muddy patches. Oh, there you go. It's California blackberry with some flowers. So it's a native blackberry. Got tiny little thorns, not the nasty hooked ones like Himalaya berry has. The nasty invasive one. And you can actually eat the fruits if you can find them. Right now they're just flowers. Eventually they'll turn into fruits. A whole bunch of them here actually. Look at all the flowers. Looky, looky. Yeah, so there's an area for runoff here. Sometimes there's some water feature here. It goes to these pipes down the other side. And occasionally it's so wet it seeps into the ground right here. Yeah, it's all dry here, but this area gets really muddy. You saw the tracks of people and animals, some horseshoe prints, some deer tracks in here. Dog prints. There was supposed to be dogs here, but there are dog tracks. Some waffle prints from hiking boots. Classic horseshoe shapes there. So now we have a grassland that's not the native grassland, but still nice. So totally different plants here. There are some natives in here, but these are all the introduced European grasses, all making a nice heavy carpet. Very different than the California grasses. That's sun cups right there. I mentioned sun cups earlier. That's sun cups. Bigger flowers, different shape, different shade of yellow, and not so shiny. Sun cups. Oh, there's a funny, is that what I think it is? No. There's a funny little weed here called scarlet pimpernel. Cute little legume type flower. Like a lotus, the little yellow lotus weed. I've seen a few of those around too. Scarlet pimpernel, really cute little red flowers. It's introduced, it's not a native plant, but it's still kind of cool looking. This, the lotus I was talking about, these are introduced as well. So scarlet pimpernel kind of is a flower like this, just red. But so it's like a legume flower, the banner wing keel. Get a better focus. This thing sucks. There we go. So that's lotus. I think the genus is actually lotus, but they're called lotus something. It's a bird's foot trefoil, something like that. So yeah, lotus. Lotus weed. These little yellow guys all over here. They're real tiny, much smaller than the gold. A totally different flower. Plant, the owl's clover. But no scarlet pimpernel. I used to get those on my lawn a lot at home. Some nice rocks with lichens growing on them. Good place to see those little bird craps on them. A lot of good places to look for birds and lizards during the day. You'll hear like a western meadowlark out here singing. Be perched on one of these rocks. Got some butterflies flitting about. Oh, is that a lizard? I thought I saw a lizard doing push-ups again. Nope. And I found some of those skinks I was talking about earlier out here. Gilbert skink is really beautiful. There's some deer. Just I was talking about mule deer, because they have big ears like a mule. Often show up in little groups. There's a parent and a young one grazing. They're very casual out here. They see people walking all the time. They don't freak out. Unless you stop for too long and make a bunch of noise, then they get a little weird. But they're used to things walking by all the time. Constantly grazing. They're amazing because they can eat even poison oak and all kinds of horrible stuff. And their natural browsing habits of eating this and that kind of detoxifies everything they eat, just naturally. Now it's taking a look at me. So yeah, big ears, mule deer. Oh, that one's, never seen one go to the bathroom. Look at that. It's a young one, so it's doing like a little squat. That's unusual. strange. Lots of people walking behind me, so they're looking now. Anyway, it's good stuff. So that's the overpass I was talking about. You actually walk under that with the trail up here on the right to go down to Edgewood Road, which is just over that hill, and down is the road. There's the turnout for Edgewood Road on the freeway right there. And take that down to Kenyatta Road, you can see the Filoli house where they shot the opening credits for Dynasty and part of the first episode. And before you turn right to go to Filoli, you can see Moore's property from Intel. Mr. Moore's Law himself. It's a nice place. That's the trail that goes under the freeway. And a little signage here and little maps you can get when they fill it. Right now they're out of a lot of tick stuff around here. You gotta watch out for Lyme disease because again the deer carry the ticks carry the Lyme disease. And if you don't know what Lyme disease is, read about Daryl Hall from Hall & Oates. He got bitten by a Lyme tick and got really fucked up from it. So much so he's like, I hate fucking deer. He's all angry. But it's bad news. Unfortunately, either he didn't know about it or didn't heed the warning signs and didn't do something about it. You can treat it if you catch it. But if you don't catch it and it progresses, it can really mess you up. Don't remember how exactly, but I remember reading some horrible stuff about it. Nice little shady grove of trees. So this part's fairly boring out here. I'll probably just keep going anyway with the recording, but mostly just this kind of fire road out here. Takes you to the place I came in. I put a few things out here. So they put some signage out here about dusky-footed wood rats, which is kind of nice. They've added some extra signage over the years, educate the public. You do see some more deer out here, some more plants here and there that are kind of interesting, and some birds and some lizards out here occasionally. Most of it's just a big fire road to walk back. Although I do appreciate the shade right here. It's very hot. Man, some horse had a big drop in there. Whew. So I can't see my clock or my battery right now. So I have no idea how much time is left, if this thing's gonna shut off or not. So I'll just keep it going. Poison oak, look at all that. Yeah. Lupins again, mixed with the coyote bush. It's tough for us to get a drink of water. Getting parched. Some more blue-eyed grass. Notice the freeway starts to fall off quite a bit. I'm still fairly close to it, but on top of that hill, you could barely hear it. And I wore the wrong kind of hat, so I'm gonna get sunburned again. Whew. All kinds of power distribution towers here. Telecom. Oh, there's a turkey vulture. Again, and get it before it takes off this time. It's right in the thermal vents, or thermal updrafts. So it's got this, I'll call it dihedral formation. It's like a nice little V where the wings are bent, capture the air. And is it out of focus? I can't even tell. Screen's kind of dark, I can't see too well. But you can see it's turning about all those trees there. Big old turkey vulture. Looking for chow. And another one here. Get a little closer. Now they're together in the sky. You see them doing these nice circles right in thermals. So they can feel the updraft. And they have this, the feathers near the ends of the wings. It's supposed to be like the equivalent of, I forgot it's the equivalent of like a thumb or an index finger. It's called the alula. And just by leaving their wings outspread like that and moving the alula up and down, it acts like elevators on a plane wing. Helps them shift direction quickly. Not an amount of lift, but in turning. So they got that same shape, and just by moving the alula up and down either side, they can just turn those little circles and stay within a thermal. And one of the cool things they can do is just glide like that for hours, right? Thermal, as they start to go down, they feel another thermal rising up. They'll do the circles around that thermal, rise up, and they'll do this continuous rise, fall to go miles and miles and miles down an area and not flap a wing once. It's very, very clever behavior, saving energy and all that stuff. Oh, here's a rodent that got eaten. Rabbit fur. There's some Audubon cottontails out here, and so Audubon cottontail and what's the other one? Brush rabbits out here as well. Cottontail obviously has the white tail. See them out here once in a while. There's some evidence that they were here. Something ate it and shat out the fur. Ah, the shade feels really good. I'm gonna sit here for a second. Turkey vultures seem to have disappeared. So yeah, if they lose interest in an area and they get tired of the thermal, they'll dip down to find the next thermal. And sometimes they drop quite a bit and totally change location like that and have to find another thermal to rise up. It's kind of like one of those levels in Donkey Kong or something. You have to ride the corkscrew thing up and jump and then rise up and jump and rise up. Goes up and down, up and down. A lot of busy work. But in this case, they're barely moving. They just move that little alula and don't flap those massive wings. Save a lot of energy. Ah, here we go. Zygodine lily. Zygodinus fremontii. Very dissected lily. See them once in a while out here. Pretty cool. There you go. Turkey vulture. So we can get close. I'm having trouble zeroing in on it. There you go. It's not pivoting. Come on, pivot. Autofocus on YouTube sucks. I have no control over the camera. So you get the idea. If I had photo apps open. Ooh, lizard right here, sunning. That's an alligator lizard, I think. That's a good sized one. Where'd you go? There you go. Looky, looky. So he's in the shade a bit, so he's not as hot as he normally would be. So he's a little bit slower moving. Since they are ectotherms, they require external heat to warm up. Looks like a young alligator lizard. They're called that because the head shape, and also they bite like hell, man. We had some at the zoo for a while, and they really bite hard. You can feel through the leather glove. Good size though. But they don't lose their tails like the fence lizards do. All right, let's see if I can get them to move a little bit. So some people catch these for a study. You use like a little bit of dental floss formed into like a little loop or a noose on a stick, and you can snare them. Don't want to hurt them, but people do that quickly to study them sometimes and then let them go. You don't want to use wire or something like that. You'll actually end up hurting them. But like something simple like little string or dental floss, you can catch them. They don't see the thing coming. And as long as you use a quick release so you don't strangle them, you don't hurt them, you can capture them. Try your best not to get bitten by them. Look at them and let them go. This one's pretty out of it. You can see that head. Definitely alligator lizard. It's more smooth than the fence lizard pattern. How close can I get to you before you freak out? Apparently real close. These guys are pretty aggressive, so they're not really that afraid. They've got these little short legs, glassy scale body. Hell of a bite though. They're cool though. Leave them alone. Doesn't need any extra stress. Occasionally get some deer over here too. Oh, the guy walked right by and it took off. But also he was walking full speed, so it freaked it out. I just casually walked past it. It was pretty chill. Like I said, this is not the most exciting part of the hike, but you get cool things like that. You get lizards sunning or relaxing on the road. You get birds, some deer, occasionally some cool plants. So that's the hill I was up earlier, looking down here from the edge when I walked off the trail marker. So you go around that hill, and that's the front, or technically in this case the back way in. Lots of coyote bush here. Lots of rock outcrops. Got some toyon, got some poison oak, coyote bush. More coyote bush. There's some turkey vultures there flying over that hill. Another little creek area that's all dried up, like a drainage thing. Probably doesn't show up on camera yet, it's a sound, but California quail making their calls on that little part of Chaparral up ahead. They do a call that sounds like Chicago, Chicago, like the song. Chicago, Chicago, what a wonderful town. It's like dee 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 dee. I just heard him doing the call. And you can barely hear it, so I'm sure the camera isn't picking it up. See if I can go see them. They're very cute. The males have striking facial markings. This cute little feather top knot. It's like shaped like a water drop almost. And the females are very plain because again they have to watch the nest. So the males do all those calls. And they do this kind of nervous sound when they're moving through the bushes and chattering. It sounds like almost water drippy. Like that noise. Really interesting sounds for just a quail. Back toward the freeway. Got another sign. History of the Bay Checker Spot Butterfly. Boy, they need to replace these signs. That's about the one that's endangered. That helps save the area by having them here, allowing them to preserve the spot because they are endangered. Probably hear that. Nice California poppies with some rocks. There are some wildflowers found on this little chaparral trail sometimes that are not as common other places in the park. One's called Clarkia. The common name is Footsteps to Spring. And they're kind of striking tall flowers. So mostly poppies here, but some flowers here. So I don't want to walk through here, but if you listen carefully, you can probably still hear the quail in here. Here's some hawk in the distance again. Breeze feels great. Now it's a little bit breezy, so it's not as hot. It's probably messing up the microphone. Nice stand of buttercups. That's a big one. Very shiny. Here's some quail. Or the wild onions. There you go. California quail. There you go. Knew it eventually. Couldn't keep quiet. Chicago, Chicago. So back to the scrub oaks. Some coffee berry. So the other side also has a trail that's slowly healing. People stop using it, thankfully. Almost gone. There's some more of the pea and the vetch. Actually, the purple is actually I think the purple is the vetch. The pink-purple color is the vetch. The kind of whitish one is the pea. I don't remember. Both legumes. I believe that's a song sparrow out there. It's hot. They call it the scurry zone. The ecotone between the grassland and the chaparral. Things scurry about, often leave little trails behind or debris or droppings or whatever to let you know they were there. Oh, look at that. It's a white-crowned sparrow. Just hanging out. Very slow. Huh. A couple of them here. Nice. Not as big as the towhees, but they're pretty good size. Now we're coming up that other side. Here's the main junction. Got some burrows. See, the area's not all bushy. There's a clear area where it's bushy grass and really flat before it gets to the chaparral proper. That's what they're calling the scurry zone on that sign. It's the ecotone between the two areas. And it's not all just from animal activity. I think some of it is chemical in nature. Maintain a barrier. If you look at magnolia trees often, they'll have an area under the magnolia tree where it's completely barren of everything but maybe a couple weeds. because they're actually releasing compounds. It's not just the shade of the tree. They're releasing compounds into the soil to prevent other things growing there. To potentially steal their water, steal their fertilizer, etc., etc. Competition, right? It's cool stuff. Some more rock outcrops. And dog shit, because people don't clean up after their dogs. So they have a little mile marker. That was called the Serpentine Trail when I came back on the Sunset Trail. And there's the main view like I was talking about before. And lots of airplanes. Back to the car. Hot, hot, hot. That one stretch of the fire road area down between those hills, very windy. Feels great. Here it's very hot. It's only a few hundred feet or maybe a few hundred yards. But man, it makes a difference. Very hot. A butterfly just flew by. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. You've seen just about everything, at least what's available now. I'll come back another day, try and get some more flowers. I think I missed the peak, just being too busy, but might be some other ones that pop out, especially if you get a little bit of rain. So stay tuned for harbor jams this weekend. So some of you probably aren't watching this now live because you're watching harbor jams, which I get. But I needed some exercise, and I want to make sure I capture some of the flowers before they're gone. So, good times. Very hot though. Lots of curled up wavy leaf soap plant or soap root. Just get baked in that sun. And this place has a little power substation for the community. Anyway, that'll do it. Thanks everyone for tuning in, live or later or whatever. And more fun stuff to come. Catch you later.